Blessings, everyone. Today I would like to share an oracle from the messages from the guides. There has been, on a personal level today, a lot of shadow work. And I know when we hear that, it sounds like, oh no. But I think the guides have been coming through trying to change the perception of this. That shadow work doesn't always have to have that idea that it's going to be something negative, even though it's a shadow. And they're saying this because a shadow means that there is sun. A shadow means that there's light behind us or in front of us, and it's casting the shadow. And we have to be in that space of light. We have to be in that space to understand the joy and the positivity and the hope in order to recognize the shadow. And this goes along with the idea of the duality. This is another thing that I know many of us I talk to all over on the internet, going for a walk, are starting to really come into that space of balance with, where we're starting to back off a little bit with this idea that something is good or bad or negative, positive. Now we understand that these are moments, these are experiences, and these are opportunities. And I hear all over, and something that they've been reminding me a lot today with different conversations is to stay curious. And what do they mean by that? It isn't just observation mode all the time, but curious with an intention to explore something that we're not understanding. And that doesn't mean to give it, again, the connotation. Shadow work simply means that we're recognizing the separation of where the light is, where we want to go, and the darkness of what's holding us back, what may be projecting, what may be stuck. And because we see the light, and because we stand in that space, we understand that all we have to do is recognize the shadows, process the shadows, and they're not shadows anymore. Something that's been coming up a lot today is that the angels appear as demons until we set them free, which is really another version of what we're doing with our shadow work. We do this every day. We make choices every day. As soon as we wake up in the morning, we can choose to say, I'm grateful for the day. Or we could go into that space right away and say, oh, it's so early, I didn't want to get up, and whatever other things that we dive into the negativity. So every day that we wake up, we're faced with that decision. It seems simple. We just go by a mood that we're in, or maybe the physical sensations of how our body's feeling. If it's tired, we may feel a little slaggy or a little grumpy. Or we choose to say, wow, it's a new day. I don't know what today is going to be, but I'm glad that I have another one. So we're always doing the shadow work. It's just now we've given it a name. Now we've said, I'm taking the demons and turning them into angels. It's always there. It's just sometimes we're more aware of it. And that's what consciousness does. When we're in that space of awareness, when we're in expanded consciousness, it means that we're recognizing the role of the experience and that we're learning from it. We do these unconscious things every day And that's not expanding the awareness. It isn't until we stop and realize, wow, I am doing this. And this is second nature, that we recognize that we're already learning. So first, I would like to say thank you to Source for allowing me to be a medium of light. And I ask all the guides to blend so that I may bring a message for the highest good. Thank you. I'm so grateful. Now I'm going to shuffle. The first one blends with Source energy. The second one is Spirit and Higher Self. And the third is for the soul. Thank goodness for the soul. It lets us have a personality, create a story, understand what we're all doing here. Then I just, as usual, always move this around and let them decide. Sometimes it pops up. Sometimes they'll say which one to take. They're saying, grab this one. Live your bliss. As I'm listening, that's some people, they're saying, will see this and be triggered right away. Easier said than done. Live your bliss. That there's a million things going on in life. What I was speaking of before I pulled the card, the shadow work. But they're saying, how do we know this bliss? What is this? Is this a state of perfection? Is this everything is going our way? What is bliss individually to each one of us? Maybe some of us have humbled ourselves and we say, it's just a nice cup of tea. Maybe for some, it's being on a cruise and standing on the bow of the boat and feeling the wind in their hair and saying, I can't believe I'm headed for 7 nights to the tropics. Maybe for some, it's getting to hear your favorite band live or going for a walk. Maybe for some, it's finally getting that 10 minutes of complete quiet because you work somewhere where it's really noisy or you're surrounded by honking cars and all kinds of things going on in a big city. What is bliss? Maybe Spirit is saying bliss is with us every day. But because we're so focused on feeling the extremes that we're looking for bliss as a balance of the extreme opposite of the struggle. So we don't recognize it because it's subtle. Just like the shadow work can be subtle. It doesn't have to be trauma. It doesn't have to be the most agonizing experience that we've ever had to do any of our shadow work. And this word bliss, when we think of bliss, we think of being in the throes of euphoria. Spirit is saying this is not so. Bliss can be subtle because it's a moment. And it's our recognition of that. And why they say have so many come to look for bliss in these little moments, like sitting with your favorite creatures. It could be that you're a bird lover and you're getting to experience bird song in the morning. Or maybe the bliss is feeling snow for the first time hitting your face. Hearing a child cry, a baby's first cry, can bring bliss. But are we living in such a state of duality that we We recognize our traumas as being so severe that we only recognize the bliss as being at the other end of the spectrum. Winning the lottery, taking off work for a year and living in France, driving a Porsche down a German highway at 100 miles an hour. There's so many different versions of this. And what Spirit is saying, the guides are saying, is that when we don't swing the pendulum or the emotional state from one extreme to the other, we don't have to give names to these things or these experiences like the shadow work and the bliss, because these things are innate. Bliss isn't something that we have to go find. We are not searching for it. We live it. It's a state of being. It's always there. We don't lose it. And yes, in the times that are struggling, maybe we're just trying to put ends meet and get food on the table, and it's that simple, and we're working 2 jobs, and we have to decide if we're going to buy food this week or we're going to pay the electric bill. And that takes us right out of that state. That's not shadow work. That's struggle. And we don't need one to have the other. We're creating this duality, and we're not recognizing that we live our bliss simply by making the choice to recognize the goodness in the experience. Now, it may be very difficult for some people to say, well, working 2 jobs and having to choose between the electric bill and food there's nothing good about that. It's not the event that we're measuring. It's our capacity to move through that. Now, as we're doing this, we're learning things about ourselves that we may never have thought. We never might have thought that we'd be able to hold down 2 jobs. And I've been there. They're reminding me. So I'm not talking from a place of just spirit whispering. They're drawing on experience. And sometimes these experiences are asking us to see what we're doing for ourselves so that we can navigate it. So it's not always about, is this shadow work? Is it terrible? Is this bliss? The bliss is that recognition in that moment then that we are doing it. We're holding our own. It's a struggle, but somehow in some way, every single day we're finding the strength to get through it. And we know something's going to give. Something's going to change. It can't stay like that forever. And we have enough faith in ourselves and hopefully the universe that shift is going to come, because we know the light to see the shadow. We know the goodness. We know the bliss to navigate the struggles. So this is what Spirit is asking us to understand. Live the bliss. And give ourselves the mercy when it's hard to understand that. That there are going to be times when the car is going to break down and we don't have enough money to fix it. And maybe there's a leak in the roof, or the washing machine just packed it in. A million things that go on day to day that every single person on the face of this earth is dealing with in some way or another. But where do we make room to live the bliss? We can blame circumstance, or we can integrate. We don't gain all this wisdom by experience. to not use it over and over again. And it does feel like it gets tiring. So how do we live the bliss? The bliss in this situation isn't about the outcome right away. It's about empowering ourselves and recognizing what we're doing to get through it. Are we making the choice to fall into an addiction to numb out the pain? Are we living in a space of airplane mode and just surviving? And if we haven't gone that route, then we have to feel proud of ourselves. Let ourselves feel that feeling. That's living the bliss, recognizing that we've come through something or we're working through something that isn't breaking us. And if it is, we're certainly not giving into it. There's that little bit, that knowing, that light that casts a shadow, that keeps drawing us forward and showing us that it gets better. We don't always understand how, and we don't know when. But it's in us. It's that bliss. It's that innate knowing, the light, the joy, the sun that moves us through this. So yes, there'll be plenty of experiences in everyone's life, along with the struggles, that we're going to get those moments where we're going to live absolute bliss. And it could be that we're sitting in our bed surrounded by all kinds of treats, watching our favorite movie on our day off. Or maybe it is getting to go on a jet plane and travel to some place we've always wanted to see. It's endless. There are endless possibilities with this. But we have to be able to recognize the moments. We have to walk before we run. And these moments sometimes are simply found at the light at the end of the tunnel. When we're surrounded with all the struggles, when we're surrounded with that dense, heavy energy, and it doesn't feel like it's getting any better, we have to recognize that no matter what, we're still moving through it. As long as we're still here, as long as we're still breathing, even if we're a big, giant mess and we're crying and we're curled up in a ball, we're still here. There's still light. There's still tomorrow. And we can eventually live the bliss. They're pulling their energy back. It's a very difficult thing sometimes to bring a message like that, because I'm hearing spirit as I'm doing this. I'm learning as I'm sharing. And sometimes I remember what I say. Sometimes I have to go back and watch the video for myself. And today, hearing this, it's also a reminder for me that coming through something and feeling a sense of achievement doesn't have to be all the time that we've done something amazing each day. I don't have to go off and make sure that I've cleaned the house from floor to ceiling, or just revamped a resume and got a brand new job, or anything. I mean, some people are just learning how to tie their shoes again after a terrible accident, and they're just grateful for that. But to stop measuring everything so severely, stop measuring our emotions and our mood and our life on the success of it, because just existing is enough. We have to be comfortable with that. That we don't have to achieve, because like anything, there's a cycle. We experience, we integrate, we process, we heal, and then we move forward. We go up another part of the spiral, and then we go up and up and up through there. It's always a process, and it's going to look different every part of this cycle. If we're looping, and we're stuck in the same process, we're going to look for the same achievements, the same specific sensations, the same emotions, and the same results. It's when we recognize, when we're doing this shadow work, that we want the different result. We're learning a different version of bliss. That's what this is all about. If we have a stock standard of what achievement looks like to us, or what success is, or any of these highs and lows that we go through, if it's always the same, we're not expanding the consciousness. Expanding the consciousness is always exploring the unknown. That term, being curious, is what it's all about. If we really look at what that means, it means that we don't have an objective. We don't have a scenario. We don't have an answer. We're in that beginner mindset. We want to learn, we want to expand, because we realize that what we've been doing hasn't gotten us where we need to be. And that is bliss. Much love, everyone. Beautiful blessings.